Hello, welcome to Just the Dis. My name is Brian, and we talk about Blu-rays here, and I have a bunch of stuff to go through from Paramount and Film Detective and Vestron and Shout Factory and Warner Archive, and I'm just going to get into it with Urban Cowboy, which came out a little while back from Paramount Presents. As you can see, the 40th anniversary, the first time on Blu-ray, and directed by James Bridges, who did things like Perfect, also with Travolta. He did The Paper Chase, he did Mike's Murder, he did China Syndrome. A very interesting director that I am definitely a fan of. And this is sort of a follow-up sister film to Saturday Night Fever in a way. It feels like it's definitely trying to at least be aware of, that film, because this has, some dancing at the center of it. It has some club life at the center of it. It has difficult relationship stuff, even more than the previous Saturday Night Fever. It's actually all about kind of a troubled relationship, and so that's intriguing to me. I didn't remember just how kind of a bummer of a movie it is, and that it's a difficult one because it's about this guy, small town, guy who moves to, I think, Houston, that played by Travolta, and he gets a job at a factory, and he goes clubbing early on as sort of a social thing. He meets Deborah Winger's character, and they sort of hit it off and get married very quickly, and that relationship maybe doesn't go like they hoped. And so there's all kinds of interesting things about the movie in terms of the relationship stuff, the setting. There's this huge club called Gillies that's like, I don't know how big, but like was at one time one of the biggest nightclubs in the world, and it's in Texas, and it's just gigantic, and there's sort of line dancing. Of course, they bring in the mechanical bull at some point, and that's meant for rodeo training, but then becomes sort of a bar game, if you will, and that sort of plays into the plot. There's another rodeo riding dude played by Scott Glenn who enters the picture. And yeah, it's a difficult role in terms of Travolta's affability, because he is such a charismatic, such a likable guy. And you can see why he was a superstar. But the dude he plays in this movie is just very immature and doesn't really understand the real world ramifications of relationships yet. And so he's really struggling with this new transition to adult life, if you will, in a way. But yeah, I think it's an interesting sort of, movie in the wake of Saturday Night Fever. Let's see here. It has deleted scenes, outtakes, rehearsal footage, and it also has Good Times with Gilly, looking back at Urban Cowboy. And we actually talked to the guy, Gilly, whose club it is, who is in the movie, who actually had a singing career that totally was buoyed by this film. And his club was buoyed by this film. And so it's really interesting to hear his take on Hollywood coming in and filming there, and how it affected him and his life. And yeah, intriguing. I would have loved to have heard Travolta's thoughts on this movie, but yeah, it's a nice little special feature, and the Blu-ray looks good. So that is Urban Cowboy. Next up, we have one from the Film Detective, and I just want to shout out them really quick because I really think they're doing some great work. They do some nice restorations where they're getting, oftentimes public domain movies that have had really crappy release histories, and they're getting a new scan of a good print, and then they're making the movie sort of new again in a way. And so this is one of those cases. It's a film noir. It's called A Life at Stake. It is from 1955, and it stars Angela Lansbury and there's a guy in here that I know called well, I don't know the actor that well, honestly, and he definitely is good in this movie, but I don't really. Oh, Keith Andes is his name, and so he plays this dude who's basically very down on his luck at this time, and has just come out of a scenario wherein he had a company, I guess, that had made some money and then ended up losing a bunch of money because his partner gambled away like 37 grand. And so it's a bummer of a story in that sense. And so he's sort of left in this like, it's like a situation where he's in a flea bag, not a hotel, but like apartment, living by himself. He has $1,000 bill that's framed that he keeps on the wall that's meant to motivate him to sort of get back into business again. And he doesn't want to, crack the frame and use that money. That's like sort of his thing that's keeping him going. And he gets this weird out of the blue offer that's basically like, this guy comes in, he's like, there's this company that wants to have you help them invest in some real estate. I think his company used to be real estate. And he basically says like, they will totally set you up and they'll take care of your debts. Cause I guess he owes like 30 grand in debt because of the, former partner, but he's very untrusting. He doesn't trust anybody, and he's incredibly mad at the world and sarcastic and snippy and snarky with everybody. And it's actually kind of funny, almost to the point of being off-putting. But so then he meets Angela Lansbury's character, whose husband is the guy with the money, and she starts talking about insurance, and immediately he's like, whoa. Nice talking to you, but I'm out, A movie that is cleverly, in its way, aware of Double Indemnity and films like it, and a character who's just like, I'm not getting involved with a lady who's talking about insurance. Nope, this is only bad news. And there's a lot of great self-aware moments in this where he sort of ends up getting entangled in this thing, but even so, he's still not trusting Angela Lansbury's character. And there's even a time when like he thinks that she's going to like sabotage his car, and he goes out before he leaves her one night. He checks his car to make sure that the brakes are okay and everything. And I think that's really interesting because it's just one of those things where you don't see that enough in movies. You see a lot of self-aware slashers, but not as many self-aware noir films. And so I totally dug that about it. And I dug just his vibe is just very, like I said, snarky. And, So yeah, it just kind of goes from there. Just sort of a real estate development plot, with insurance money and a certain amount of time before the deal closes. And it definitely there's I'm not gonna give anything else away, but it's a very suspicious setup, and he's very suspicious of it. And I just really kind of dug where it goes. And it's pretty short. It's only 70. It says 78 minutes, but I feel like it's almost like 75 minutes. And so it looks good on this transfer, and it is like one of those things where you don't expect it to be as engaging maybe as it is, because I'd never heard of it, so I figured it was a Poverty Road cheapie that, but I mean, obviously there's things like Detour, so there are films like that we know can be good and end up just getting lost in the shuffle. And this one was very lost in the shuffle. So hats off to Film Detective for digging this one out. And it has a full color insert booklet featuring a Career at Stake, Angela Lansbury and the Last Days of the B Noir, an essay by Jason A. Ney, who does the commentary also, which is really good. And then there's Hollywood Hitchhikers Inside the Filmmakers documentary, and this is a new 4K transfer from Archival Film Elements. So there's your booklet, which is cool. This is a pretty affordable release, and for it to have a booklet is kind of nice. But yeah, so the commentary by Jason, I'm mispronouncing his name. I really dug it, and he talks about the place that Angela Lansbury is at in her career, because she started out really hot and then kind of ran into some problems with the studio that couldn't figure out what to do with her, and then was kind of scrambling to make money at a certain point in a way, and was taking gigs like this. And I think this is one of her better performances. I mean, she's always great, but I really dig her as this conflicted femme fatale character here. So anyway, good film. Again, kudos to Film Detective. Keep an eye on what they're doing because it's quality releases of interesting B films, and I'm digging it. Next up, we have one of the latest ones of the Vestron video collector series. This is Francis Ford Coppola's Dementia 13 director's cut, which is cool because it is apparently taking out some footage and scenes that he didn't shoot himself. So it's a very short movie. I want to say it's like 69 minutes. Kind of about a woman who's sort of, I don't know if she's plotting to kill her husband, but he has a heart attack and then she has to cover it up, and it becomes very noir-y in that way, but horror-y too. Shot in Ireland, except for a part that's shot in Echo Park Lake, including a scene where Francis Ford Coppola plays the body that gets thrown into the lake. And by the way, I do love the way he shoots Echo Park Lake, because he shoots it in such a way that you can't see the city. You can't see the city lights. It's just black behind his lead actor. And so it feels like rural Ireland or wherever. It feels like someplace else. It's hard to believe it's Echo Park Lake. It's just really well shot and creepy. But I was excited to revisit this one. So very cool to have a nice edition. And it looks great. Comes with a digital code. It has an introduction by Coppola. There's a prologue test, and then there's an audio commentary by Coppola. I think these are all new. And the Coppola commentary, I only got about 16 minutes in. He started to stall out a little bit at that point, I think. But he had some interesting comments about, where this is his first film. So where it came from, how he pitched it to Corman, his experiences on the film, and that's what I think the commentary is going to be all about. But definitely cool to hear him talking about one of his movies again. I always like his commentaries, so a very nice release from Vestron. Next up, we have from Shout Factory the 4K Ultra HD Transformers the movie with slip. I didn't get the steel book, no. I was happy enough to get this 4K. And it looks great. I threw it on last night. You can see sort of the source elements are what they are, but that is not to say that the colors don't really show their vibrancy. It really looks nice. And I was not at all disappointed with the transfer on this 4K. And they've got a lot of bonus features. I think many of them, if not all of them, well, there's one new thing here, it looks like. Were on their previous release. But so you have new 4K restoration, new feature-length storyboards, new 30th anniversary featurette, including an acoustic performance by Stan Bush of his classic You Got the Touch, which plays prominently in this film, as does Dare to Be Stupid by Weird Al, by the way, which I totally forgot. There's a scene of the whole group of Transformers dancing around to Dare to Be Stupid, and I was like, how did I forget this? And this movie just got way better. So anyway, you also have Till All Are One, a comprehensive documentary looking back at the Transformers, the movie, with members of the cast and crew, including story consultant Flint Dill, cast members Greg Berger, Susan Blue, Neil Ross, Dan Gilvezan, Stan Bush, and composer Vincent DiCola, and others, as well as an audio commentary by director Nelson Shin, story consultant Flint Dill, and star Susan Blue, and some other featurettes, as well as trailers and TV spots. So a really nice special edition, now 4K, of Transformers, the movie. You have got the touch of 4K, and it looks wonderful. So that's wonderful. Another quick pickup here, because it was cheap. The Invisible Man TV series, the complete series with David McCallum. I want to say this is from like 1975 or something like that. Yeah, 75. I'm just a David McCallum fan. I like him as an actor, and I like The Invisible Man. And so I watched like the first episode, which is just a setup of him and the company he's sort of gotten grant money and the company's breathing down his neck for results. He's actually trying to create like a transporting matter ray, or it's like a teleportation ray, but he discovers invisibility instead, and then he invisibles himself, and of course that's always bad. So I don't exactly know how the show is going to shake out in terms of what is it on a week-to-week basis, but it is definitely interesting. It's inspired by the H.G. Wells novel, created by Harve Bennett of Star Trek, and Stephen Bochco, Hill Street Blues, etc. So, good TV people are involved, and David McCallum is good as this kind of serious scientist guy. And yeah, it was like $8 for the whole series, which is like, I don't know, it's less than 10 episodes probably, but it was super cheap and I couldn't pass it up. It's been on sale on Amazon for a long time, so hopefully still will be. I'll leave a link below. You can grab it there. Let's see. Next up, we got some Tarzan movies, all from Warner Archive. 2 Blu-rays, 1 DVD. I'll start with my favorite one, Tarzan's 3 Challenges. This stars Jock Mahoney, who is one of several guys to play Tarzan. Johnny Weissmuller being the most famous. Then there's others definitely, and I'm gonna blank on all of them. But Jock Mahoney was a stuntman, and I can't remember how many films he played Tarzan in, but he's an interesting presence. He's almost got like a Randolph Scott feel or something. I can't really put my finger on it, but he is definitely a dude that they that I think was cast well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he works well as Tarzan. And this one is intriguing. It's basically Tarzan is sent to transport the heir to the throne of this this sort of small village, and the village has a problem in that the villain of the movie, played by Woody Strode, who's really great in this, he's like the brother of the leader of this, he's like a giant religious guru almost, not like the Dalai Lama, but anyway, his successor and in this village is like this thing where it's definitely kind of problematic in that Woody Strode wants his son to be the guy, and they've already chosen this, this guy's kid or something. I can't remember the ins and outs, but basically Woody Strode wants to put a stop to it. He wants to kill the heir, the kid, and let his son take over. And so he immediately sends goons after Tarzan so that he can't be escorted. And then when Tarzan shows up to transport the kid, the people in the village are like, we don't know you, and the guy who recommended you is dead. So now you have to do these 3 challenges for us to show that you're worthy. And one of them is this strength test that you see on the front, where he's holding the ropes against 2 buffalo, and he has to hold it for 5 gong hits. So that's like one of the challenges. And then he ends up sort of in a thing with Woody Strode at the end that's like a weird, jungle triathlon that ends in a giant net over a bunch of barrels of acid or something. I don't even know what happens, but that's the ending of the movie, and that's just a great climax. And it's a solid Tarzan movie. Like, I dug it, I hadn't seen this one. And like I said, Jock Mahoney, an interesting Tarzan for sure. So that is Tarzan's 3 Challenges. Then we have Tarzan Goes to India. Also Jock Mahoney. This is the year before. This one is a little bit more like Animal Attacks almost, in that there's like Tarzan gets, he's in India and he gets roped into this scenario where this village is a bunch of, it's like, I want to say like a bunch of smaller villages are going to be flooded because this dam is being built, and they're going to flood this valley. It will create electric power. It will do all these great things for this area, but it's going to displace all these people, and it's going to also basically kill a bunch of animals. And so Tarzan is tasked with helping the people and helping get this herd of elephants out of the valley before it's too late, before the thing is flooded. And there's, of course, bad people building the dam. One guy in particular is really evil, and they don't care about the people. They don't care about the animals. And the elephants are being led by this rogue that Tarzan maybe has to kill in order to take over and lead them out of the valley. And he meets this kid who has a pet elephant that's like the big alpha elephant, and it's fun. It's fun. I definitely dug this one too. Again, Jock Mahoney as Tarzan. No extras on these, by the way. And then last but not least, this one's a DVD only, Tarzan in the Valley of Gold. This stars Mike Henry as Tarzan, and very interesting movie from the director of Tarzan Goes to India, I think. And a little later, and it's almost like a Tarzan meets James Bond. Like if you watch the opening of this movie, you'd think it was a James Bond knockoff. Like Tarzan wears a suit and he's like way more sophisticated and well-spoken, and I mean, Tarzan in Jock Mahoney's version is also pretty sophisticated, but this guy just feels like a total, and it's American International produced, I think, so you get why they're trying to do something different. But I think this one's really interesting, and I do hope that maybe there's a chance they'll bring this one out on Blu-ray, because it is such a fun mashup of like spy film and Tarzan movie. Like, I'm just a fan of this one. So right now it's DVD only and worth grabbing on DVD, as I'm not actually sure it ever is going to make it to Blu-ray. But anyway, so I just did a little Tarzan marathon, and that was fun, and so I thought I'd throw those in. Anyway, that is it for this little group of Blu-rays and DVDs. Hopefully some enjoyable stuff in here for you, and leave some comments below if there's anything in here you liked. And thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.